Man, I think I get more nervous for these ones than I do some of my other ones. When I talk to like my very best friends, and now I have Mike Tousignant, and he is one of my very best friends. And we talk so much and we know so much about each other that like, I don't know. I always wonder what we're going to talk about. What are we going to talk about, Mike?
I don't know. I think you're the interviewer. I'm just here to answer all your questions, answer all your heart desires.
I know. So I guess I think what has gone really well for like people in the Easton community and for just people in general, like, is just hearing how we got here, like all of us together, kind of. Because I don't think any one of us did it. It's not like Amal did it or you did it or I did it. I think like hearing everyone's individual journey to our current place and where we're going is really cool for people to hear. So yeah, where did this all start for you?
Where did my jiu-jitsu journey start? Is that
just like what got you to Colorado, right? Like, because I know, like, because you're from Boston, right? So let's start there. What got you out to Colorado? Like, and I know you and Ian have a very similar path of like, you know, it was not going well.
To say the least. Man, I could real quickly. So for me, it was, you know, my whole life growing up was always a struggle for me to sit still. Let's just start there.
Struggle for you to sit still.
That'll circle back to why I found jiu-jitsu and why I think I have the position in the company, Easton, that we currently have. I think it all circles back to the childhood piece.
So what was the struggle?
The struggle was I couldn't sit still, like literally from kindergarten through, like I remember in preschool, I tried to escape preschool by sneaking onto the fence and running away, right? And then from kindergarten through second grade, I went to 3 different elementary schools because the teacher's like, this kid's maniac.
Kindergarten through second grade?
Yeah, 3 elementary schools.
So 3 years, 3 schools.
And then in second grade, I remember I threw a chair at a chalkboard because I felt like there was an injustice that happened. I always felt like there was an injustice and I had to stand up for it. Usually against me.
Do you remember the injustice?
That one? I think this girl, I forget what happened. She like took something off my desk when she walked into class and like stuck her tongue out at me. And then I went by her desk and grabbed it back and I got yelled at in front of the whole class. And I was like, F you, Mrs. Emerson. Second grader, by the way. And she started yelling at me and I picked up my chair and threw it at the chalkboard.
Bro, I have 2 friends that are like this. My friend Steve, like I was his only friend. And like, he has so many stories like this. Like he threw a desk at the teacher too.
Yeah. It's pretty much how everything went through high school, you know, same thing. Just
Did you graduate? I mean, did you ever have so my friend Steve, I mean, he just fucked up all the way through. He went to summer school every year of high school. Was that you too or no?
No, I had good grades.
Okay.
I had good grades because I could always squeak by with the grades. And I played sports. That being said, well, let's just fast forward to, I found football. It helped a lot. Fast forward to senior year. This is a pretty wild story.
Yeah.
Senior year of high school, in my hometown, drinking was a really big thing. You know, we drank a lot. Like that was kind of what you did. Freshman year, we started drinking, and it was like Friday through Sunday, we just drank and partied, and then play sports during the week. Like, you know, you would get a bottle of what was it, Dr. McGillicuddy's and a 30-pack of beer in a funnel, and you just sit with you split that with one friend, and that was like every weekend night. That was how we rolled. So senior year, it's prom night. And prom is a pretty big deal where I'm from. And you usually get a limo. And the year before, I had this limo driver that let everybody drink. So I got the same limo driver for my senior year for me and my friends because I knew he'd let us drink. And so we went to my friend's house before prom to pregame. We did a power hour.
Are you aiming right now? Because Ian got all nervous after he told all kinds of stories. I can see you're a little nervous.
No, it's good. I'm just thinking about this, you know?
Okay.
So we did a power hour. You know, we each had, power hours, you drink like a sip every minute.
Yeah, I take a shot of beer every minute for an hour.
Yeah. And so we each drank a 12-pack of beer. And this is at noon, the day of the prom. And
so this
we
is
drank a 12-pack of beer.
This is way before prom.
Way before prom. This story gets awesome.
Go ahead.
Way before prom. Awesome and embarrassing at the same time.
Sure.
So way before prom, we each had that. I drank the entire 12. We all drank our 12-pack. My friends are big drinkers. They're all Irish, so they're all and bigger than me. So we got hammered, but didn't even realize it. Drove home, got my stuff together, got ready for prom. And then in the car, I had a bottle of Bacardi's Lemon. That was what we drank back then, being for me and my prom date to split. We drank the entire thing on the way to the prom. Me and my friends each had their own bottle to split with our dates. And I get in the prom, and I'm just stumbling through the prom. I barely remember what happens. But I remember my football coach looking at me like, Mike, what is wrong with you? Like, I was so drunk they thought I was on some type of drugs. I just hadn't eaten, and I've been drinking nonstop. And I'm stumbling through Copley Plaza at the Copley downtown hotel, a high-end hotel in Boston where the prom is. And they're like, what is wrong with you? And they're saying stuff to me, and I'm just blacking out. So I just disappear and run outside, and I hide in an alley. And I'm in a tux with a vest on, and I'm in the alley just throwing up on myself. And I remember this. And then what happens next is that my coach comes out, and he's trying to like help me out. But then the dean comes out, the other dean comes out, then the principal comes out. And they're yelling at me, and I'm like, I'm an idiot, laughing. I know I'm in a bunch of trouble. Like, it's weird. I was in the Shriners game and the MVP game, so I was the only kid in the team that made both All-Star games for football, and I knew that was coming up the following week. Plus, we still had our walking for graduation, our senior party. So it was prom. Then all these things happened right after prom, right? So like, how
did you have football games in the spring?
It's All-Star. So if you did well, you get taken to the All-Star teams, and you play some All-Star games and practice.
But they make you like wait till the end of the year so you behave yourself?
Yeah.
Got it.
So I'm outside throwing up myself, laughing at myself, like I'm in so much trouble. I accepted it. And I'm like, don't get nobody else with me. I'm the only one that was drinking, trying to cover for my friends. Like, it's all me. Don't worry about it. I'm the bad one. And then my girlfriend comes out. And by the way, I had a big issue with the principal at the time. He ended up getting a lot of trouble later on for soliciting blowjobs at truck stops, actually. Yeah, but and he got kicked out of school for that. But
the principal of the school.
Principal, yeah.
Soliciting blowjobs from students or
truck stops.
So men.
Yeah.
Oh wow! So he was a closet.
Yeah.
Oh no, to give the blowjobs.
Yeah, that's a thing. Like, people go to truck stops, bang on the door, like, hey, you pay me, I'll blow you, blah, blah, blah.
Whoa, get the fuck out of here.
I didn't know until a lot of stuff came up this year, but the whole through high school, I was always getting in trouble, like for whatever it was. And me and the principal would always battle. I'd be like, fuck you. And, so I didn't like him. I hated the guy, actually. And anyway, he's like 300 pounds, this fat, overweight guy. My girlfriend's out there, and I'm like, oh no. And I immediately get protective. And she's crying, and his hand's on her shoulder. And I think he's yelling at her. And I snap. Now, remember, we're downtown Boston. I'm in a tuxedo with all my football coaches, the dean, the principal, and I lose it. I start tackling and double-legging my principal and the dean and just losing my mind and just tackling everybody I see, hitting people. And then the next thing that happens is, this is where I sort of black out. My coach reminds me of the story, is I'm in an ambulance, and I punch one of the EMTs in the face, and then they strap me down, and I get to the hospital in downtown Boston, and it's not a very nice area where I'm at in the ER room.
Yeah, no hospitals downtown are nice.
And I'm in the ER, and I'm like, I come to on a gurney, and I'm like, oh my God, what did I just do? And next to me, there's this massive black dude. And he's like, what's up, dude? And I'm in this little white boy in the tux covered in puke. He's like, what are you doing, man? I'm like, I don't know, man. Then I got a lot of trouble. He's laughing at me. We're talking. And I'm like, I don't know. I guess I'll just deal with it when this happens. And then my mom and my dad walked in, and they're divorced at the time. And my stepdad is my mom, and my stepmom is with my dad. And they all walk in there. And by the way, I had never seen my dad drunk, and I had pent-up rage as a kid for my dad because he was not abusive, but he was an intense dude that wasn't always the nicest. Just a guy struggling, trying to dad. So I see him walk into the hospital, and I'm still pretty drunk. And I'm like, I look at the doctor. I'm like, I'm going to kill him. I'm still just raging out. Right?
Hold on. You're going to kill who, the doctor or your dad?
My dad.
Okay.
And I'm like, and I tell this to the doctor. He's like, oh man, then we can't let him in here. I'm like, man, I'm just kidding. So he backs off, and I get off the gurney and I tackle my dad, and we go through a wall, like one of those, like those walls they put up that they slide in on wheels. We go through that, and we end up inside this other person's room in the hospital. And I'm just strangling him, right? And my dad's like 230 pounds. He's a big guy. And I'm just, and this is at the time, by the way, this is the 1 year I tried steroids. So I was jacked up. I was like, I'm going to try a half cycle of steroids, see what happens. So I got huge because I was going to play college football that year.
How big did you get?
I was like 195 pounds. I was benching like 365.
And just for everyone's reference now, because everyone thinks that you're on steroids right now, you're only like, 165 pounds right now, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, I mean, because like you're freakishly strong, So
I remember I'm on top of him, and then it takes 6 security guards to rip me off, and like I'm blackout. I'm just raging. I don't really.
Right.
And I remember I getting tied to a bed, my arm like this, face down, and the big black dude next to me is going, "Yo, brother, Chuck, calm down. This isn't gonna be good for you." He's trying to calm it down.
So he's in the bed next to you, like so he's a patient too.
Yeah. And he was so sweet, dude. He was like trying to talk me through this, and then I remember this needle coming out, and they stuck it in me, and I just remember. And I woke up hours later, and my shoulder was almost out of the socket because they ended up tying me like this, face down on the bed. So that was how I ended my senior year of high school. And my stepfather picked me up the next day, drove me home, and I spent 3 days in my bedroom because I was so embarrassed.
I'm assuming you didn't get to play in any of those games.
Didn't get to play any of the games. I wasn't allowed to walk. They did let me graduate. They still gave me my degree. Thank goodness, because I was going somewhere for football after that. And but I remember watching everybody walk on TV. They televised it on our public access channel.
Right.
And I had all my friends. Everybody called me Tug Nuts. I don't know why. It was a football name from 8th grade. And everybody's holding signs in the crowd. We wish you were here, Tug Nuts. We miss you, Tug Nuts. Or free Tug Nuts. And I remember sitting on the couch watching this and like crying, feeling all bad for myself. But since that moment on, my dad and I have had a great relationship.
Your dad and you?
Yeah.
Wow. That's all it took.
It changed everything because it changed this like power dynamic. Like I was really scared of my dad. He was a big, scary dude.
Right.
When I finally confronted him, in that rage, I think it shifted the power. And then we started talking more, and it actually helped a lot.
Damn.
It's probably a more productive way to get through to your parents. But as an 18-year-old, it was, had plenty of anger issues.
Have you seen the new Star Wars yet?
The newest one, no.
Yeah, all right. I won't ruin it for you then.
Okay.
But just it's a Star Wars theme, right? The confronting your fear, like Luke and Vader, right? Like it's super, and then how it shows you your power. Like that's where you find your power. Like everyone thinks of, I think that's so interesting.
Yeah, I was petrified of my dad. I remember one time he's not a bad dude. He was just, a parent trying to figure out how to parent before we had the internet and all this great information to teach us how to parent, right? You just going with what your parents from the 50s taught you to do. Like, what the fuck did they know?
How did they do it, right? Because like all you could do was talk to people around you that you knew. You couldn't, like nobody wrote books on this. Right. Yeah. You couldn't jump on. I mean, and I don't think you or I agree with every parenting piece of advice we get, but you just
read everything.
You just read everything.
And then I take what worked and I try to lead with love. That's the biggest thing. Trying to lead with love and then figure out what fits into that category.
Lead with love. Explain that a little more.
So I had this great doctor growing up. I remember he was a pediatrician and his name was Dr. Newman. And he said, you can never love your kids too much. Right. So I like that idea, but that doesn't mean you only baby them or only spoil them. It just means you always love them, but loving somebody the right way doesn't mean you have to just spoil them. It means you have to do the hard thing too. You have to have the hard conversations when they're being wrong. You have to tell them things they can't do when, even when it's hard to do it.
Right.
It's not an easy way out. but I never want to remove like the love from how I parent or lead in general. I think that's a really important part.
Yeah. And sometimes it's not. I mean, I had a hard one last night with, when you say lead, I had a hard one last night with somebody who just can't get their shit together. And I felt bad getting on them a little bit, but that's part of it, right? Like you have to get on people sometimes, like, yo, man, this is a pivotal point in your life. What do you want?
Dude, you and me, like, definitely have a conversation where that comes up.
Yeah.
Where it's not always easy to, like, man, even if I'm wrong, I feel like I need to say it so I don't build resentment. Like with adults.
Yes.
It's like, if it's a direct report or if it's your wife or your kid, I want to have the conversation. So at least I have a clear understanding of what's happening, so I don't create this narrative in my head that may be false.
Dude, that narrative, fuck, man. No, I read Brene Brown. I think it's in Dare to Lead. She's like, we all do this shitty first draft.
Yeah, I love it.
And we do it in our heads, and we normally don't get it out. Like we normally just let it rumble in our heads, and then man, it turns into something way more than a shitty first draft, right? It becomes like the truth for us.
Yeah, I like how Huddleston always talks about there's like always multiple truths at play, and keeping that in mind. I'm like, okay, this may be my truth, but it doesn't mean it's the actual truth. And I don't even know if this is what he means when he says it, but the way I took that is like, what is their truth that they're trying to say? And like, maybe there's something in the middle that we're really trying to get to.
Yeah, it's super interesting how there's just so many truths, and not even two. There's like, it blows that blows my mind. And what's really helped me with that, I think you, I don't know if it was you or Ian who gave it to me, was like, look, the person is only trying to do their very best in the moment. Like no one's like, damn, let me see how bad I can fuck this up.
Yeah.
Like that's never anybody's like default.
Well, you have your 1%. You have like that 1%, maybe it's less than that falls into that like pathological or sociopathic tendencies, the narcissist tendency.
Right.
Like, it's just a very small percent. Like it's so rare, so I don't think you should ever assume a person plays that part.
Right. Well, I have one, my sister.
So, yeah, like they exist. We all probably one.
Yeah. But it's super interesting. Like what helped me with my parents, like I said, this conversation, you helped me with it, was my parents and I, we have all been on these different perspectives with my sister, right? Like, my dad's crushed, my mom's mad, and I'm somewhere in the middle. And I said to them both, I was like, look, we can't get mad at each other. Like, because then she's the winner here. If we're all mad at each other too, each one of us only did what we thought was best. Like even Dad, who was wrong, probably, he only did what he thought was best for the moment. And I guess that's leading with love, right?
That's back to, once you accept that, right? Like then you're no longer the victim. Right, we can go into this entire conversation, right? But that's always back to this, like, man, like this person was doing the best they could at the time, and they don't know they're trying their best. Like that's, I don't want to say a more enlightened way to look at it, but once you can accept that, that the person is trying their best, whether they know they are or not, then you're no longer the victim of the circumstance, of the situation. Right? You're a part of, it's their own narrative, and you shouldn't fall into their delusions of what they're doing. So that mindset helps a lot. That silly short book that I think I told you to read, The 4 Agreements. You don't have to read the book. Just the 4 pieces of it are great. That whole like, don't make assumptions, don't take things personally, speak impeccably, and like always do your best. Those things really help in the moment of like, wait a minute, don't take that shit personally because that really pisses me off.
Oh, God damn right.
Right? And don't make assumptions because maybe they meant something else. Like, I just try to remember that. Ian just told me the 4 agreements, and I was like, man, that helps me so much not lose my temper.
Say it again.
I think in order, it's like speak impeccably, like impeccable with your word. Don't make assumptions. Don't take things personally. And then, always do your best, which is, it's hard. Those are so simple, but in practice, it's pretty difficult to do.
I think the hardest 2 for me are speak impeccably and don't take things personally.
I would 100% agree. I read the book. I was like, man, I want Eliot to get this part down because it makes it so much easier to navigate everything. Man, imagine if we put this shit in schooling, and maybe I wouldn't have been kicked out of school 3 times by 2nd grade. Maybe I wouldn't have gotten suspended my junior year for threatening to. I had a male shop teacher, and I was a male shop teacher.
Okay, a male shop. Okay, got it. I thought you were saying you had like a mail order. I was like, you what? So a shop teacher, that was the gender of male.
Yes.
Okay, got it.
And it's important that I never took the shop class. Like I always try to do like above average classes because I wanted to go to a good school, even though I didn't do that great. But my senior year, I was like, you know what? I'm going to just float my senior year and not do anything. So my coach let me take a bunch of free classes with him. So I just hung out with him for a couple periods every day. And then I signed up for some easy classes that my friends that play football were always in all year long, like since the beginning of time. So I took a shop class and I'm like, sweet. And I tried really hard. Like I was like, I'm going to do a good job because it was fun. And my friends would show up like 30 minutes late. They come in occasionally. And at the end of the year, he pulls us into his office and one by one, he gives us grades. And my friends all got A+. And I'm like, they were never there. They didn't do anything. I was like, sweet, I'll do really well. I go in there and he gives me an 80. And I'm like, dude, why did I get an 80 and they got that? He goes, because you were late these 2 times. I'm like, they haven't been here all week. I was like, what do you mean? He's like, don't argue with me. And I started yelling at him in the office. And he kicked me out of his office. And I walked across and he's like, go to the principal. And I was like, I walk out of his office. He walks out of his office into his classroom where all the whole class is because everybody's waiting for their grades. I go to the door. I turn around and I say to him, hey, motherfucker, you've been raped by a dick this big. Come into the parking lot. I'll take care of it right now. And I scream at him across the entire class. And everybody's like, and he sent me up to the office and he called the cops. He's like, this person threatened to rape me. So the cops come in, and I get suspended from school for a week for threatening to rape my male shop teacher.
I could see that. Yeah, I could see that.
But imagine if, like, we presented these ideas of the 4 agreements early on, like, hey, man, here's some emotional intelligence for you. You shouldn't take everything so personally. Maybe it wouldn't help. I don't know.
I don't know, because, like, we're young, too, and sometimes timing is everything a little bit as well, right? Would you get sick of it? Like, would you be like, yeah, fuck this and go the other? I mean, we just never know, right? Because like you have the dad you have the alcoholic dad, and then you have the kid. He's got 2 kids, the alcoholic dad, and one of them alcoholic, one of them sober, doesn't fucking touch it.
Yeah,
same experiences, same everything, right? So I don't know, but yeah, I try like the impeccable with my word. I've been trying, the last couple times I've talked, I've tried to like, okay, don't make a joke, right? Like don't Eliot here, just present the message.
Well, just sex metaphors are so easy,
Oh, God, they work so well.
They work so well. And I do the same thing. And I've been really working on not doing it. I'm going to start teaching here in Longmont soon. And like, I got to make sure I've been really working on my metaphors to not be sexual.
They work so well.
They do. But it's like, man, it's not going to grasp the whole audience. And they're also easier. They're the easiest metaphors to use for me.
And so, look, like I have students that go, man, I love them. Like they make sense. Like, I don't know. I have 2 right now. We're studying the Kimura. I wasn't going to tell you the one, but there's one where people get confused of what arm to grab. The arm that's in between the legs, like by your crack, or the one that's going around the outside. And I'm like, yo, crack kills. So you go for the one in the crack, like the arm that's in your crack. And the other one, but people are like, okay, what's that?
That's not bad.
Yeah, but you got that from a strip club metaphor, bro. That's a strip club metaphor, right? When you go to a strip club, you can't go near the crack, right? It's a Biggie song or a Tupac. I don't remember which one it is, but he's rapping about a strip club. Okay? So it's a sex metaphor a little bit, but yeah, crack cocaine too. I get it. And the other one is when, and I'm going to stop using them, I think. And this is just examples of our impeccable with your words and how it can go bad. on the Kimura, when people take their hand, like you're on the Kimura and they put their hand like in between their legs. And the answer for that is you reach your hand in between their legs, you grab their knuckles, and then you put their hand behind their back. They can't stop it, right? Because you're on the long end of the lever. But like when they're grabbing in between their legs, their like hand is right next to their genital. And I'm like, yo, it's the Me Too Kimura. You're just getting mad right now.
No, I'm not.
I know. So
I actually saw, I was sick for 5 days, so I watched that new Apple TV. I have Apple TV now.
Yeah, Apple TV Plus, right?
Yeah, after you pushed me, finally, I was like, all right, I'll get it. I couldn't get my other thing to work, so I bought it.
Oh, come on, man.
And there's that show on there, which is okay. The morning show, I think.
Yeah, we started it. Renee couldn't get into it.
So Steve Carell's a great actor. Reese Witherspoon, great actress. Like, they're good. I think Jennifer Aniston, she's kind of vapid, man. She's a pretty hollow person. Like I hear her act, I'm like, man, compared to those two, she's just not as good.
Yeah. And everything she does, not just the name, everything she does.
Everything. I'm like, but they carried the show. And, the show it was okay. It was good at times. I just binged it because I was sick with the flu and I needed to do something. But there was something that really blew my mind. And they really turned it into the Me Too movement from like the women's perspective to really understand that. And, we always agree there's a pendulum that goes two ways. Right now, the Me Too is pretty hard swing where Trump's the other hard swing. But what the show did for me, there was, I think, episode 7. I don't know where it was. But it really showed me how, I'm really trying to understand, like, as a white male in this society, in a position of power, like, I want to understand, like, all aspects of all sides of arguments to the best of my ability. So I don't just like easily jump down one side. And they did this scene in the movie where Stephen Carell, or the show, comes on to like an assistant, and she doesn't say no, she doesn't stop him. But the way they filmed it was so good. Like, I was shaking with like fear and anger as he came on to her, and I understood even more about like the Me Too movement and how like that abusive power is so intense. And later on, he goes, "You could have said no." She goes, "To you, the great and powerful Mitch Kessler," he was like, like the Matt Lauer, pretty much.
Sure.
And I'm like, this year in intern, I looked up to you. You were like everything to me, and I thought you were mentoring me. Then all of a sudden, your hands were down my pants. And he's like, "You're an adult." He yelled at her, and she like ends up, and that's going really bad for her. But it was an intense moment, like, in a really intense point in that show that like really kind of highlighted like how bad that abuse of power can be.
Bro, have you done Gladwell's new book yet? Have you read it?
Oh, fuck yeah, I read it.
Dude, the part where they were like, where they were talking about sex, and like something like 80% of men see, like, if a girl takes her shirt off, 80% of us males see that as, okay, let's go, keep going. And only like 30 or 40% of women see that as an okay, let's going. Like, how differently we all see situations. I mean, forget about the Me Too movement for a second. Like, I mean, when there is abuse of power and all of that stuff, just how differently we perceive a single situation. I thought that was one of the craziest parts of the whole book, because, I mean, come on, dude, if you're making out with a girl in your head, right? You're making out with a girl and you take her shirt off and she allows it, and then her pants, like, you're like, okay, this is game on. And that's not the case for them. Yeah,
that's like learning about other people's perspectives has been a really good part of the year.
Dude,
so like, it's so hungry.
That blew my mind. I mean, like, I thought, I guess I could see that number being somewhere like, okay, there's some crazy chick out there who like gets all the way naked and doesn't think that it's going to be cool. But 60% is a huge number. 70, I think it was 70% saw it as not okay to have sex, Like, it's
enlightening, man. Like,
yeah,
this kind of work, this kind of reading, this kind of understanding is really important for us. And then the problem is you add alcohol to the mix, all of that goes out the window.
That was non-alcohol. That was not with alcohol. That was just sober.
It's really scary, man. Like, all of it is fucking frightening. And like, you have sons. I have a son. it's all like super scary these days.
I'm petrified. I'm petrified.
I know, man.
Right. You know, I am so petrified.
My son to be the greatest, nicest kid he can possibly be. His mom is a huge influence on his life. But man, I'm always like, you know, how do you teach them to always do the right thing? And like, even if they are, there's still a possibility for mistakes. And
the 4 agreements though, right? Like be impeccable with your word. I don't even remember them still.
It's so hard to remember.
It's so hard. Hold on. Impeccable with your word. Always do your best. Yeah, go ahead. What are the other?
Don't make assumptions. Don't take things personally.
Don't make assumptions. Don't take things personally.
I did it called IPAB.
Okay.
So personal assumptions best.
So yeah, okay, IPAB, got it. But that, like, got it. How do you teach your kids to do that? And I think that would probably solve so many of these problems.
Over communication. I mean, what have we learned? What have we learned over these past couple of years? Is like over communication. The least we communicate, the more trouble we get ourselves in. I know that doesn't always sound great, but I think over communication is super helpful.
Yeah, and it doesn't have to be long.
No.
Yeah.
No.
I think we've learned that as well, right? Like we don't have to have 2-hour-long meetings, and like sometimes it's just like, yo, this is bothering me. What's going on?
Yeah.
You know, you and I think
he's really good about that too.
What's that?
If I said something out of line once and Valor like called me right away to help me. He's like, hey man, this kind of upset me. And I was like, why? And I was like, oh shit, thanks for pointing that out. I didn't realize that.
Right. It's interesting when you have to lead people, right? How their perspective does really matter, and you have to, and not always, right? Because sometimes you have to like Calvin said, Eliot the Boff. You know, sometimes you have to lead.
That was great.
Yeah, you know, but you have to do it with love, like you said.
And I think, and not that we're the most diverse, but I try to keep intentionally a diverse group of opinions. So like, I'm going to bring in race and gender into this too, because I think it's important. But like Valor, you know, the black dude from Compton in Oklahoma, you know, Sachi, the Asian girl from Hawaii, right? Sarah, you know, the white girl from Crested Butte, you know, everybody has a very diverse group. Like there are different genders, different nationalities, like you and Amal, you know, and I think because of that, it's not always easy to hear, but it's important to like, what are the opinions that I may be missing that my like fucking entitled white man mind may not be thinking of, you know? And it's
so many people are going to get mad at you for this entitled white man mind comment. You made it twice.
Well, I don't think I'm actually that way, but I don't know. What do you think? Like, I am very fortunate to be like winning the lottery. It was what I would say, right? In the U.S.
In the world.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. I mean, so first of all, American,
right?
First of all, American. Like if you,
white, male.
Yeah. And like, I think people get so mad about this that they're like, oh, my life was fucking hard and blah, like that. That's very true. That like, no, it's not a guarantee, right? You know, but if you could have all of the problems that you had, what else would you rather be?
Me?
Yeah.
Man, this is back to that whole fucking not being a victim. Like you get to decide how you're going to live your life.
It's such an interesting dynamic, Mike, because I think as a society, we have to move that way, like understanding that how privileged we are. But when you talk to the individual, you can't tell them that it's not that like, you know, you're a black, gay female, right? Like that does not, if they're in a bad way, it does not help them to tell them how underprivileged they are.
Mm.
Like, what do you say? You've helped a lot of people, right? When like somebody's struggling, what do you tell them?
Man, I don't know if I tell them anything. I think I listen to them.
Yeah, but after all that, and they need to like take some steps. They need to like get going. You know, like sometimes you have to like, and they're like, oh man, this so-and-so did this to me and so-and-so did that to me. It's when you've been dealing with the same person struggling, I'm saying not just like, not just in the moment, right?
Yeah.
And you need this person to take some steps to get better in their life. And all they do is play this victim role. And maybe they are one.
maybe they are, right? But that's not going to change their circumstances, you know? So I think for me, like it always starts with that empathy piece, right? Really listening intentionally, you know? And then after that, it's moves into the idea of, you know, I really like the way the Stoics talk about it. It's been very helpful for me, you know, and like trying to make sure they pull themselves up to this, they're not pull themselves up, but think about like, okay, things are hard, things suck, life is difficult, right? And I can't even begin to relate what that may be like for you, but it's going to be up to you how you decide to act in this world and what you do with that information, you know? I don't know. I'm not a therapist, right? I just know what worked for me, you know? Right. I always felt like my dad was mean and my life is hard, blah, blah, blah. And then, you know, I think reading was the big thing that kind of pulled me out of that, because it brings you into like understanding the human condition, and that every single person, whether it's a fiction book, a nonfiction book, has these struggles, and some are so much more extreme than others. But everybody struggles. And then some people take that struggle and really do amazing things, and other ones get stuck in self-pity. I don't know.
It's such a crazy, like, the stuck in self-pity, right? Yeah. Like, it's such a common thing.
I've been sick for a week, and trust me, I was feeling bad about myself. I had to leave the house. I was like, I'm a loser. Why am I running this company? Why are people asking? Like, I don't know what I'm talking about. I don't deserve this. I really struggle with that whole imposter syndrome. Like, I'm not the one that should be in this seat, you know? And I struggle with it a lot. Like I have a hard time. Somebody asks me how I'm doing, I'll like totally deflect and then start asking about them, because it gets awkward. Right. When I'm struggling, I'll reach out to a friend and ask for advice. But if somebody asks me how I do, I'm like, I'm good. Anyway, how are you? What's going on in your life? I'm always feeling not, maybe I don't deserve to answer that question, is kind of how it feels quite often.
It's hard. I feel it too. It's so hard. Like why are we sitting here? You know, why are we sitting here? Why are people reaching out to us? What? Well, I don't fucking know. I figured out my life a little bit. A little bit. You know, a little bit.
Our crazy struggles.
You know, fuck, man, this kid that I'm dealing with right now, he's struggling so bad. And getting evicted and all of this craziness. I mean, like really, really, really struggling. Very similar to how I was 3 or 4 years, almost 4 years ago now. And I look at it, and this is what made me think of it last night. I thought about this. I was like, man, did I just get lucky at the time period that I really, really struggled? Because I didn't have to worry about any income. Like, the businesses were set up, right? Like, so I was going to have an income. My wife worked, so she had an income. I had friends, you and Ian and Will, who I developed those relationships because of certain things. So did I just luck out at the period when it got worse, when it got terrible for me? Like, sometimes this is what I struggle with when I watch other people struggle.
Yeah, of course. I think I was reading something, what the heck was it? But it was talking about, like, if you go to a society where people consider themselves lucky, they're like the happiest society, because they even though they did other things to get there, like, man, I'm a lucky person. I don't remember the book, and I'm paraphrasing, but it was when people actually consider themselves lucky in life, they end up being a lot, I don't know, happier in their life. You know, like, why is that?
Yeah, why do you think that is?
Because I think, I don't know, what is the reason? I can't remember what they said, but for me, I would say it's because we are lucky and fortunate to be a part of a community where we can prosper, right? Like, we got lucky enough to read. We can be lucky enough that we got a chance to read a book that changed our mind. We got lucky enough to have a conversation with this individual that shaped our life. We got lucky enough to find jiu-jitsu because I met all these great people that changed my life. Like, everything is fucking luck.
Like, think about your rage. What if you had 15% more rage? You might have killed somebody.
Yeah.
Right? Like 15%. You just had a small enough amount of rage to not really fuck somebody up.
And there's been some bad instances.
Yeah.
Really bad. A lot. And they're embarrassing. But yeah.
I think about that. I think about that with my anxiety and my, if I had 10% more on that very worst day, if you had 15% more in that moment, what would we have done? And we have no control over that, right? It's not like you had any control over your rage that you were born with. I didn't have any control over like my anxiety. So like, fuck.
Or like there's that situation where like if your rage is so bad, like, and you got yourself in a situation where this person could have pulled a gun and it didn't. Like I was at the stop sign and this guy was screaming at his wife and I opened his car door and pulled him out of the car. But I didn't know if he had a gun in there, right? Like I just pulled him out of the car at a stop sign and started yelling at him, right? And there's been a few instances like that where it's like, oh, because my rage took over versus like I thought it was an injustice, but I was just angry.
Right.
So I'm gonna set this guy straight. And man, like how many times did that happen where like luckily the guy didn't have a gun or lucky that guy couldn't beat me up, like whatever it was. You know what I mean? Like a lot of luck for sure.
A lot of luck.
How many times as a kid growing up where I grew up where, man, I know almost 10 kids in my high school while I was in high school that crashed into trees and died from drunk driving. And I drunk drive every night when I was in high school. It was like what you do back there. And I went through yards. I ran into somebody's house once and just pulled out and drove away. Like countless things like that. And so lucky. Yeah, luck. So fucking lucky.
Luck and like, I don't know. We've been talking about this, the idea that you can't get away from people, right? Like if you can prove like when you're building anything that if it's always a people thing. Right. It's always how you deal with people and how you make them feel. And that I can't get away from the luck either. So you say you can't get away from people. I can't get away from two things, luck and people.
Yeah. No, that's hard to do. And you become more lucky through education though, or learning, I would say.
You start to create your own luck. I will agree with that. Yes. Yes.
You start realizing it's luck.
Yeah. So then you realize, so once I started to realize that it was luck, I realized that the luck of things was people. Right. Like, and that's what made me like, that's why I fucking talk to everybody because like the more people that you can have around, like the luckier you're going to get.
I want to circle back real quickly since our podcast. Let's see if we can get this juicy here. So you think I'm going to piss a lot of people off with my comments about being the entitled white man? Which group do you think I'm going to piss off?
Oh, the white man.
Oh. Then I don't give a fuck.
Why? Why did you think?
I don't know. I was unsure. I was like, what if I piss off other people?
Nah, white people get pissed off about this because they go, look how hard I worked.
Yeah, of course. Great. Got it.
Yeah. White males get pissed off about this.
Well, good. They can.
Yeah, don't worry. Foster will comment.
They can come join Easton. We can trade. They can get all their anger out on me.
They can get all their anger out. They can try. So, God, we're 45 minutes later, and I had a simple question of how you got to Easton. We didn't even fucking talk about it yet.
We didn't get there. Oh shit! So let's go back.
No, it's okay. It's okay. This is podcasting, bro.
I want to get there though because it does get interesting. So, I still was able to go to prep school. So I went to prep school for a year, which is like a year postgraduate school. This is where Ian went to school, like not where he went to school, but the same type of thing he did. So like he went to Avon Old Farms or maybe, and I went to Loomis Chaffee for a year to play football just to get my grades better and get to college to play football.
Okay.
So got my grades better. I got into a college and played football for a semester and got in trouble twice while I was there during that semester. And then the last day of the semester, I was outside a frat with a beer can in my hand, and I was 20 at the time. And a cop walked up to me, and he goes, "You're coming with me." And I threw him on the ground, and I ran away. And then I got cornered by a bunch of cops, and I got arrested and kicked out of school. And my mom's like, "You're not coming home." I was like, "I don't want to come home. I'm a loser. I'm a failure," So I went to Florida and lived in my uncle's garage where he kept his Harley, or he's like my second cousin, so my mom's cousin.
Okay.
And wasn't the nicest guy, kind of not at all. But I cut down trees with him for 6 months in Florida. My parents came to visit. My mom and my sister came to visit. I got drunk. I made a massive scene when they were there. And my sister's like, hey, I'm in Boulder, Colorado. You should come live with me out here. So I came out to Boulder.
Which sister?
Jamie.
Okay.
Yeah. Came out here. I was like, all right, on my last chance to figure my life out here because I keep getting in trouble no matter where I go. And so I lived on her floor with her and her boyfriend. And then I partied for the next couple of years, skied a lot. And then I found Easton at 24 when I met Ian. Ian, remember being there? And yeah, and the rest, that's kind of what brought me to Easton. Like up to that point, I was still getting in a lot of fights all the time on Pearl Street, just got arrested a couple times. And then I found Easton and then it just all kind of stopped. It all just switched from there. I stopped drinking for a long time. And then I started competing and everything sort of changed. I needed that outlet. So I think the reason I bring that up is that not being able to sit still, what Easton did for me was it showed me a community where like I could, be disciplined, follow like a cadence, get up in line, do your class, listen to the instructor. And man, it was you, Nick Klein, and them all. Like I looked at you guys like these mythical creatures. So like for me, I was like, I want to be just like them. So I just fell in line, right? And just did whatever I was supposed to do. I don't think I said a word for the first 3 months being there. I didn't speak at all. I just wanted to get better. I came twice a day, 5 days a week,
I remember when somebody said, yo, look at that white belt over there. And I talked to you and you didn't even respond.
Yeah, I didn't say a word.
Yeah.
I was humbled. I was like, man, this is great. Like I knew about Easton for 5 years, but I was scared to go in there because I spent my whole life fighting people. And then I was only fighting people because I had an ego. And then I went in there and I thought people were going to beat me up. And it wasn't that at all. It was a place that like took me in and showed me jiu-jitsu and man, everything changed. And then, all that like rage and anger, though it's still present, it really started having an outlet, and that was really important for me.
Why do you think football and wrestling didn't do that?
They did, but they were like seasonal and there was no structure. Like, man, football was like just, Mike, go hit that person as hard as you can, Mike, here's somebody.
You were the nose tackle, right? At 190 pounds.
150 pounds when I played. Like there were dads who put bets on. There was a guy with this glass eyeball and his dad was like, he's like, I'll give you $300 if you take that guy's glass eyeball home. So we tried to like rip his eye out when we tackled him in football in the games.
It wasn't, you didn't have to take care of the other people.
No, nothing to do with that.
Right.
Same with wrestling. It was too, we just beat the fuck out of each other. We were a bunch of not good people. We got kicked out of tournaments. We'd go to tournaments and steal everything.
Right.
Our coach was like all about hard-nosed wrestling. Like, I don't care. Like, I want to lock you in a room, shut the lights off, and be able to kill everybody in there. That was like his theme for us. And we were great. We won state 3 years in a row.
Right.
Because they were just savages. I wasn't very good. I was just on the team. But it was a wild
sure.
years of wrestling.
Dude, and I think the difference where jiu-jitsu comes in play here is it doesn't end. Right? Like where you have every day you have to sort of be on the mats with these people. Right? And you have to take care of them. If you're going, I was thinking about this with Amal the other day. Like, because I was taking my kids up. I took my kids up skiing yesterday. And I was like, damn, Amal sure did get his kids really good at skiing really fast. And he did it because that's how he rolls. Right? Like he wants to ski double black diamonds. So he better he doesn't want to ski this bullshit with his kids, but he'll do it for a little bit so that he'll be skiing double black diamonds.
Put the work in to get them where they need to be so they can keep doing his thing.
So that's how he made Easton, because he was a purple belt.
Yeah.
He was a purple belt.
Good.
And he wanted to keep competing, right? He was still on this upward trajectory of like, I might be a world champion. Right. So he was like, okay, here I am. Let me get these and I don't know that he did it for anybody other than him whatsoever. Right.
I'm not to listen to this, but yeah, you're probably right. That's
how he is. Right. He was like, but then he gave everything to us. Like he called back. Like when I started, he called us 3 times a day to come train. And I skipped school every fucking time to go train. But that's when I think that's the culture was like, you have to give to everyone. You have to give on the mat. And I think that's kind of our culture. That's the Eastern culture. And that's where we got it from. I thought about this literally yesterday.
This is interesting. So you see people that are like, well, I need to go to train to this other school so I can get better because they have a world champion there. It's like, man, didn't Lovato win worlds? I mean, I know we traveled a bunch, but like he had a bunch of blue belts in Oklahoma, wherever the hell he had a school, right?
Braulio.
Right? Yeah, like what? Like, it's like, yeah, man, yes, you can go get better if you train at Atos, like world champions.
Sure.
But you gotta create your own monsters. And then they're gonna beat your ass.
Yeah.
Right? Like that's what you gotta do. Like you can always think the grass is green, but you gotta put the time in at home to make it great. Nobody else is gonna make it great.
Larry King, I got this one from Larry King. When you say the grass is green, he's like, man, everyone's grass is brown. Get a fucking hose.
Yeah. Yeah, the grass is greener thing is that one gets old. I'm good with it now, but there was a time when like lack of loyalty, people would disappear. Like, well, I'm gonna go here because they're better, or I think this guy's better. It's like, man, that's disloyal. But man, they're just on their journey. They don't realize that they think the grass is always greener. Like that is a good thing that Larry just said. I like that. Everybody's grass is brown. Get a fucking hose.
Yeah, get a fucking hose. That's what he always used to say. Get a fucking hose.
If it's not brown enough for it, if it's not green enough, yeah, get a fucking hose. Make it better, man. Yeah. You're the one that can make the change.
So, and I think that all started with Amal, and it started like just in his personality. Like because I always wonder how this all happened from him, right? Because we talk about him all the time, right? He's this weird, eccentric dude, like, you know, who's got this like founder's mentality. But that's where it started. And literally it came, I grasped it yesterday on the ski hill. Because I was like, this is how he did it. And this is how he did everything.
Dude, you're right. I see it so clearly.
Right. Yeah.
That's fantastic.
It's crazy. And now like we've taken it, and you especially are taking it and running with it. You know, like you're just fuck.
This is back to that fucking thing, right? Like, man, I revere you and Amal. You're also, whether this matters or not, you guys are a lot bigger than me as far as like human beings go, right? You've done more in your life than me. So like trying to take the reins was an intimidating task, right? Don't get me wrong. Like I am an insecure person that completely doubts myself at all times. Right. So wanted to take the reins from these people that I came up underneath that I revered. I was like, man, like I have to make this happen. I really want to. And, you know, not just through pleading, but like you guys believed in me. I was able to do it because I said, fuck it. What's it going to hurt if I just put it on the line and just ask them if they'll let me do it. Right. And you guys saw the path and you're like, sure, let's fucking do this. And I'm sure it isn't always easy to let go, but I guess what I'm saying is like, man, it's up to us to fucking finally take our own step forward to make something happen. Right. Mm-hmm. Like we can sit down and, you know, not take the reins and sit back and let somebody else drive our whole life. But man, I don't know if you're ever going to be fully fulfilled. And I think it's important to just fucking take a step forward and see what you can make happen on your own.
I agree. I have one more question for you.
Yeah.
So Ian said this to me the other day. He's like, man, bro, when you and Mike agree, he's talking about me and you, mm-hmm. right? It's impossible for the rest of us to not go, right? Because we are so alpha, right? Like, and so like, I wouldn't say so alpha. We are so like, fuck, this is what we're doing. But when we disagree, you know, because we're really good friends, right? Like we're like, you know, like brothers. And so how can, I know what we're doing to work on it, right? But how can people sometimes who have these other people in their lives, like have this, and you have this contention sometimes, how do we work through this better? Like what do you and I do? And how do you see we can do it better? And how can other people do it better?
I don't know if I quite understand the question. Are you asking how do we work through when there's contention in our relationship?
Yeah, because like when you and I get mad at each other, we get really fucking mad, right? Because we're passionate and like sometimes we don't speak impeccably, both of us, right? Like we'll be like, we'll have that moment where it just comes out and it's not what we should have said. And we also, I know I do, and I think you do as well, we take things personally. Yes? like just naturally. And Ian said it, you and I, like, man, I can hear other people give me bullshit all the fucking time for the most part. You know, I read YouTube comments, homie, right?
That's no joke, bro.
Yeah, I know. I can read YouTube comments and find like good in it. But like when you and Ian or like Amal and my mom and my wife say something like that like it's a direct line. It's like this fucking long, right to my heart.
So are you asking how do I do that?
How can we do this better with people we care about? But sometimes this is where relationships go awry, right? Because like we have these short, direct relationships, and we all have to work together. So it's not even that you're just my best friend, right? Like, you know, I don't know. There's like 4 of us, right? That are, you know, I always say best friend, but I don't know.
I think I know what you're asking.
Okay, sorry.
So for me, and this is me, the person that has. Man, we should tell the story about when I lost it on that guy Eric one time. That'd be hysterical. Maybe that's
the black guy about the music? We'll tell it. So go ahead, tell it from your perspective. Go.
Let's answer this question. So I think there's a few things, right? Like the first thing I try to think of right away is that the mental model of like Hanlon's razor. I use this a lot now. Assume the fuck is it? Assume carelessness, not malice. That helps me right away. If I put that in mind, like, okay, he wasn't trying to be a dick. Like for everybody listening, like assume carelessness. Like when somebody writes you a blunt text, you're like, man, this motherfucker is talking shit, when it just was a carelessly written text because they were busy doing something else. So I like Hanlon's razor a lot. And then I have to frame it really quickly in my mind. Like, okay, what is it that this person was trying to do? Were they actually trying to hurt my feelings? Were they being a dick? No, that's never the case. And then the next step that I go to is that nonviolent communication stuff that I've really been into lately. That's been super helpful. And what I try to do is identify like what I'm feeling right away. Like what am I feeling? Oh my God, that's what I'm feeling. And not making it about what you did to me, but about what I'm feeling. Like Eliot yelled at me like, man, when I hear your tone of voice like that, I feel it makes me frustrated, and I get kind of angry, and I don't want to be angry with you. And let me guess, are you feeling kind of frustrated with me? So that's why you yelled at me? Like I try to like get through it by like identifying what I'm feeling and trying to figure out what you're feeling and maybe making an assumption with what you're feeling. And then after that, I try to talk about like what it is that I need to get through this, then make a request to improve for the moment. Right. Like, man, I need us to communicate better. And I think I request that we like maybe take a minute and think about this for a moment. But that book has been helping me a lot, like not getting so upset with every little thing that happens.
What would you say is your common feeling about people? Like when you get triggered like that, right? I know what mine is. I'll say mine in a second, but what's yours? Like what really hurts you?
Man, lately it's much different than what it used to be. But what it used to be was like, this person's an asshole. They're inconsiderate, and they don't understand how hard we're actually working to do this the right way. Like that's usually what it boils down to. I'm always like, man, this guy, they're being inconsiderate, man. They don't realize how much effort we pour into this to make it work, and they're just treating it like it's not. Like fuck you, because
for you it comes back to injustice.
It's always injustice, dude.
For me, it's being left. I'm always like, fuck, they're gonna leave me. This is it. This is where like whoever's mad at me, you know, this is where they're not going to be my friend. This is where they're not going to blah blah whatever it is. They're leaving.
Wow, this is a revelation, man. I didn't realize that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because I'm so stuck on my own narrative. Like I don't have that feeling.
Yeah, that's my feeling. That's always
injustice.
Injustice, no. Not at all.
Every fight I've been in, dude, has been trying to protect somebody or like a woman. Remember that guy I picked up at a table in a restaurant because he was screaming at his wife, and I threw him down the stairs?
Wasn't that at the Med?
Yeah.
with Ashley? Wasn't Ashley working?
No, she may have been there actually, but James was there, and I was on a date with a girl. She ran away. The first date. She ran away. I turned around, she was gone.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah, mine, like all the stuff that I do, like even when I get like bullyish and all of that stuff, it's because I'm trying to prevent people from leaving. It's so interesting. It's all one thing. And yours is all one thing too. All right, let's cut it. We're done. We're done. You got work to do. I got work to do. Man, you know how it is. I fucking love you. I appreciate you. Thanks for coming on. I know sometimes these can get awkward and weird, and because like, what are we going to fucking talk about, right?
No, it's all good, man. I wanted to say something else. I think you did a great job of your speech at the Christmas party. It was really well done, and it's a pretty cool gathering that you put together. So we all appreciate it. Thanks, man. You guys, yeah, I appreciate it. It's my favorite day of the year, I have to say. More so than my birthday, more so than anything else. I don't even get laid that day either. So, it's my favorite day of the year. And the prep rib was great. So good. It was a long point. But all right, man. Thanks. I appreciate it. That's it, guys. Go out there, find your power. I hope you're all having a great new year, and do your thing, everyone.